Well, like so many things with Obama, I mean, the phrase I seem to use a lot is shocking but not surprising. We've seen it so many times. I mean, every time a Hollywood actor passes, it's a big to-do, but we're still waiting for a word on Chris Kyle, an American
Right.
hero, things like that. The list goes on and on. We could talk for hours if we listed it all. But you talk about the tweet from Obama, and then he
Well,
invites.
and to give Obama a little bit of credit, he at least waited like 45 minutes. Hillary was in it way before that.
Right. Well,
Hillary was already
yeah.
talking about, but she did great.
She running for office actively as opposed to running it
Yeah.
into the ground, right? But you talk about the tweet, and then he goes and invites him to the White House. You got to be sitting there like, really? For what? When you have, like I mentioned, not only say the widow of Chris Kyle or some of these great American heroes out there that come back from our all volunteer military and lose a limb or save some of their brothers and sisters that they're fighting with, or just other kids throughout this country that are doing incredible things. But oh, wait a minute, Dad might have voted for Bush. We better not call him. Things like that. It's so political. It's so nonsensical. And here you're getting praised.
Prioritizing?
Yeah.
What are you prioritizing? I think that's an important piece. What are we prioritizing? Are we prioritizing our first responders? Are we prioritizing, our military and what they're doing? And I think far and away you see that we're not. As a culture, it doesn't seem like that is on the top of our mind. We are so concerned about being offended. I mean, you look at what's going on in college campuses across the country.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, such and such. You know what? At every point in time, we have all been somehow discriminated against, right?
Sure.
I mean, we all share that. We have all had our feelings hurt by somebody at some point in time. And my advice to my kids is get over it. It's going to happen again. No, the only control that you have is your response to something. Be strong, be prepared, be knowledgeable, and stop blaming everybody else for your issues.
Well,
And I think as a culture, we are not teaching our kids that. We are not teaching that second generation that, there's accountability, there's responsibility. The media does not help because they constantly find excuses for everybody to do everything. And, at some point in time, we have to look at what's going on across the country and say, okay, I will admit there are bad apples in some forces. It happens.
of course.
No department is perfect. However, the vast majority of our police officers are honorable. They are intelligent. They are trained. They are experienced, and they are out there risking their lives for our safety. At what point in time are we going to respect that?
Yep. Risking their lives for our safety. In the meantime, leaving a lot of times their family at home with the chance of not coming back each and every day. And here, what's being instead, we have this boardroom, faculty lounge mentality in Washington and in a lot of our state capitals of, let's figure it out in a textbook. And meantime, half of these guys, Obama and friends, they'd be pickpocketed in Brooklyn if they walked out there for 5 minutes. So, what are you going to do? But hey, another thing we have to touch on, you mentioned about, why did he go this route? Why did Obama go this route? And I mean, I think we all know the answers behind this because, I mean, look what's even happened recently in Paris. A president should be out here talking about the evil that is ISIS, talking about what you're going to do about it. But yet, no matter what, in every speech, we still have to get that lecture about not all Muslims are bad. We are this and that. Right, wrong, or indifferent, it has no place in these particular speeches. He still has to get his message all the time. The Planned Parenthood deal, we're going to hear now about guns again for the next 2 months to try to hide something else. They wait for tragedy and then slam an agenda down your throat. And hopefully people are waking up and getting disgusted about it and not worrying about what Beyonce or Matt Damon tell them to do.
Yes, I would hope that was the case. And again, it's any parent that's out there, you need to take control about what you're teaching your kids, the values that you're teaching your kids. And if you're allowing Matt Damon, Beyonce, or even like the local newspaper to do it,
Yeah.
you're missing the boat. You're absolutely missing the boat. My kids are very independent. They're very smart, and they have that. The ability, I think, to start questioning authority a little bit if they don't feel as if their morals are being respected. And I don't know that that's a bad thing. I think that we need to, as a culture, be very sensitive to our history and where we came from. And I teach my kids not to even look at someone's religion, not to even look at somebody's color, and they never have. I don't think they become even sensitive to it until they see outside forces coming in and telling them things.
Sure.
Up until then, they're colorblind.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I'm telling you, I'm going to defend that school because they responded to the device, not to the student. And one of the things that you have not really seen in the mainstream press at all is they keep comparing what would happen if it was a white student. Well, the fact is, at MacArthur High School, less than 10% of the students there are Caucasian. Less than 10%. We had a wonderful letter that was written by the valedictorian of that high school a couple of years ago, who happens to be a Muslim woman. And she wrote about how that school was very responsive to her needs as a Muslim. And she was very proud to be able to say that she graduated there. She loved the teacher. She loved the principal. She loved the other students, never felt discriminated against in any way. And how, she's reading some of these things in the paper. And again, it's just not the story. It's not the reality. And that's very frustrating for all of us who live in this wonderful city who are not seeing our city representative in the mainstream media. And I think we can probably argue about that. That's what's going on around the country.
Now, while the President of the United States obviously jumped on the bandwagon here and the pile-on, the popular anti-cop, the popular, anti-law enforcement, unless, of course, it's a white Christian situation that we get out of our politicians, unfortunately. You did get a lot of...
Have them put on a badge. Have them put on a military uniform and go out there. And maybe what he says about that would be a little bit more weighty. But when he's hiding behind all those people for safety, it's a little bit difficult to take him seriously.
I don't want to laugh over your comments, but just you giving me that visual of Obama in a military uniform. I mean, that would make his mom jeans when he threw that horrible pitch out actually look stylish. I mean, could you? I mean, Obama in camo, that's like Beetle Bailey. Please, but anyway, the good news is, unlike Obama, you did get a lot of support, too. Governor Palin spoke out via social media, someone who really knows how to use social media in a good way to combat what's happening to us. Bristol Palin as well, all defending you, defending the teachers, defending your police, defending police in general, and above all, and I think you exercise a lot of this, defending common sense. Yeah,
that's exactly what we do. And people can judge after the fact, what happened. But the plain and simple fact is there were few people in that room during that time to be able to act as Monday morning quarterbacks. You were hearing one side of a story, and again, we would love to be able to share everything, but the teenager's a minor. We are unable to release all the information. But this is to me, it is beyond that. We have police departments across the country that are being undermined. And I would hate to be a teacher right now. I would hate to be a police officer right now in this climate where you have so little respect from so many people, and you're constantly being undermined and challenged. And there was a time, when that was, as a parent, you would never think to do that. Mm-hmm. And again, there are bad apples in every type of industry.
Yep.
So I can't sit here and defend everyone, but for the vast majority, and I have worked with these people for over a decade, the vast majority have an amazing amount of integrity, amazing amount of professionalism, and an amazing amount of professionalism. And you look at that and you see what's happening as an industry across the country, and it just breaks my heart because I keep thinking, what's the next step? What's going to happen 5-10 years from now? And I'm optimistic about it. I think people are waking up. I think people do have a lot of common sense, and we will get there. We just need to put things in check, and when we read things in the paper, we need to kind of question them a little bit. Just what's in the paper, right? Does not necessarily mean you're seeing the whole story. In fact, probably 90% of the time, that's not the case.
And the most amazing thing about these men and women in uniform, and I'm not talking about our military because they also possess this trait, but a lot of the police officers that I've talked to, whether they're personal friends or just people you meet out and about, they have that selflessness about them. Even with all this craziness going on, it's amazing. My kids, we always, I call my children, they're soldier stalkers, they're police stalkers, and they're dog stalkers. They see any of those three coming down the street, they run, and the dogs they pet, the other two they thank up and down. And then when I go over and thank the person in uniform, 9 out of 10 times they're like, yeah, what, no big deal. Like they don't even think they're doing their job. Like people are going to their job in the office in their mind. But we all know not only that are they in danger every day and protecting us every day, but just the sacrifice they make. I know a good friend, a police officer in the New York area, working on Thanksgiving the other week, and it's that type of thing. So it's really appreciated. Now you have something else in common with Governor Palin. You are quite a trailblazer, Mayor, in your capacity as mayor, the first woman elected, the youngest elected. Does that put
first New Yorker?
At first New Yorker, there you go. So I guess Palin, as governor, it would have been first woman, youngest, and first from Idaho. but what do you think about? Actually, I don't know if that Idaho part's accurate. If she is the first, but let's go with that. But what do you think about that? Does that? I think that would probably make you a little proud to be able to pull that off. A lot of people like to stay local with who they have. Who's this coming in? But you moved around for a very important reason, and also just to be the youngest and the first woman. I mean, I want to elect the best people. I don't care what color they are or what sex they are, but it's a big deal because the good old boys club's hard to break into sometime.